Welcome to the channel where all you gotta do is, well, unbox this new crank. So, I think it was in November last year, 2025. I was looking for a crankshaft for the V10. Since it's going to be turbocharged and it's going to have forged rods and forged pistons in it, the stock crank would totally work, but it's not as strong as a billet crank. I'll go over that why in a minute, but the other thing is a billet crank, well, the stock forged crank was going to need to be balanced with the heavier rods and heavier pistons, and so that would have required a bunch of Mallory metal. So there's people out there that make, or that retailers that sell billet stroker cranks for the 5-liter V10 S85, and they're like overboard and stroked to like 5.6 liters or something like that. So I didn't really want that. I don't really need extra torque. I'm going to have all the torque I need with boost, and off the line it's going to be traction limited anyway. So 5 liters is fine. It's actually, I think, better. Piston doesn't come out of the sleeve so far. And so I ordered, I figured out, I deduced who made the cranks for the retailers, for the strokers, and I gave them a call, and it turns out these guys, Marine Crankshaft, they're down in Orange County somewhere. So anyway, I asked him if he could make a standard stroke crank for me, and he said, I sure can. However, I'll need to charge you for programming fees because it needs a different program to machine it. So sure, that's fine. So anyway, a small extra charge, and what, 8 months later? November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. 8 months later, I got a crank. Showed up in the mail a couple days ago. I also got my rods and pistons, which I delivered to him when I picked up my sleeve block, so he could balance it properly. Now, the crankshafts that he makes for the strokers are zero balance, is what he calls, which is awesome. There's no, there's no drill holes in it. There's no counterweight. There's no drill holes in it in the counterweights, and there's no Mallory metal. So I assumed that's what I was going to get. But he charged me for Mallory, so apparently that's not what I got. So if you don't know what Mallory metal is, got a little hunk of it right here. So there's little slugs of this tungsten. They call it Mallory metal. I don't know why they just only call it tungsten. It's an alloy of tungsten, but anyway, it's really heavy. It's like the weight of lead, but stronger and stuff. So anyway, this stuff's kind of expensive, and then you drill a hole through the side of the counterweight, and then you press this in, and some people weld it or peen it or something so it can't fall out, but it's better if you don't have to have this. So that's what I thought I was getting, but not the end of the world. And the reason I ordered a billet crank is because they're stronger. Forged material is stronger than just billet material. However, you can't use any alloy you want as a forging. You have to use special alloys so they flow properly and whatever. So it's a whole science to it, but at the end of the day, a billet crank is, I wouldn't say significantly, but it is stronger than a forged crank. So by the time I had my forged crank balanced, my stock forged cranks balanced, that was going to cost me, $1,000, and I can sell that crank for $1,000. So that's $2,000 cheaper than. So it's like, And did I want to put a crank in it that the crank that came out of the S85 is a good crank, but it had piston fly apart, so there's some dings and dents in it. It's still, all our journals measure correct, and it's still straight, so it's a good crank, but it's not up to the standards of this build. So anyway, our new crank, I got it. Let's take a look at this thing and see what I got. Let me zoom you in here a little closer because you don't want to see my ugly face anyway. This has got a lot of Mallory in it. That is weird. Let me get you in a little bit closer to see the beauty of it. Looks like he ran a little bit into this journal here, but I'm sure it's off of the critical. So yeah, there's one hunk of Mallory in that. And 3 hunks of Mallory in that guy. Quite a lot. So, yeah, this thing needs a cleaning job, but it smells like rust inhibitor. So anyway, it's kind of a beautiful piece, except for that Mallory. Angle drilled, that super nicely deburred. Anyway, so this is just a kind of a, yeah, this thing's filthy. I mean, if you get a brand new crank and put it together without cleaning everything, you're an idiot. But never assume. But anyway, the next thing I have to do to this is measure all the journals. I assume they're going to be precisely perfect, but you have to check it. And then these pistons, they went to the LA sleeve. The block's under there that's been sleeved. So I'll have to measure all these pistons, I'll measure all the bores, and decide which cylinder goes into which bore. And then the same thing with the rods. I'll have to measure the journal sizes of the rods and the weights of the rods, and figure out what rod goes to what piston to make them as even as possible. And then mark everything, and then measure all these journals, and then I can select the bearing sizes that I need to get the clearance that I want. So anyway, that'll be a little spreadsheet of all this piston, this rod, this ring pack, this, and then yeah, there's really no excuse for me to not put this together now. But well, there's a big excuse over there. Yeah, because there's no help, and it won't. Yeah, I can't do anything with it. So it'll be a little while before I assemble this, I think. But I can start measuring it up and ordering pieces. Sometimes pieces are hard to get for these S85s. So anyway, that's a beautiful piece of work. If you're not in a hurry, these guys should be able to do you up, I think. If you like this content and want more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.